Mate, first of all, your trial game form?
Yeah, it was not too bad. Took about a half to get into it a little bit, but been able to string most of the pre-season together, so it was probably a good starting block for myself and the team to really give it a good crack against some AFL opposition this week.
Is this the best pre-season that you've had personally? Are you fitter than ever going into a year?
Yeah, I mean, my first 3 years have had issues with a few injuries, and being young, we often get sort of guided through pre-season. I mean, this has been the first sort of time I've been treated as one of the main group guys, and I've just been able to do everything, and we've actually had most of the guys on the list been able to complete all of it, so it's been really pleasing from a team perspective, and I guess individually it's been a good feeling to be able to get to the end of the pre-season knowing I've done a lot of hard work and got through it.
You look a lot stronger physically this year. How much weight have you put on in the off-season, and what are you now compared to when you arrived at the club as a skinny kid?
Yeah, I've put on a fair bit since I got drafted at the end of 2009, but I've only been put on about 1 kilo or 2 since maybe last pre-season, so not too much, but all up a fair bit. But I think my body is really handling the weight better now that I'm probably a bit more mature, and it's been a gradual thing.
It's always a long pre-season. How much are you looking forward to the games this weekend?
I can't wait. It's been, as you said, a long pre-season, and every club just is itching to sort of start playing at this time of the year. And it was really good last week to have a little hit out against opposition that wasn't just ourselves. And you get a bit sick of training against your teammates all the time because you sort of know what we're doing. But to get some genuine AFL opposition this week is really exciting, and we've got a lot to choose from. A lot of young guys who are really putting up their hands to have a crack too. So it'll be exciting.
What's Ken Hinkley's main message been to you? What's he sort of trying to drill into you?
He's been fantastic coming along. Him and Richo have really tried to drive just the defensive side of our game, which has probably been lacking the last few years. So a huge emphasis on what we're doing without the ball, and his philosophy is a good defensive team will win games, and the offensive opportunities will come from defence. So that's sort of our starting point, but also just the way he's given us the sort of attitude of not wasting a session. Maybe times in the past we've sort of guys have been a bit sore and probably not trained as well as they could have, and we've really got no time to waste if we're going to make up ground and catch the teams at the top of the ladder. So making sure we get everything out of every session possible and making it, that's just been a real focus.
A couple of fresh sets of eyes in Kenny and Darren coming on board. Were they able to tell you anything that perhaps you weren't doing right, or something that was wrong with your preparation in terms of injury prevention?
Not a whole lot really. They've just given me a lot of confidence in my body. I came into the pre-season with being able to do everything in the off-season, which is something that hasn't happened really for me in the past 2 or 3 years. The off-season I just spent a lot of time not being able to run and that type of thing, whereas this off-season I was able to get some actual run into my legs, and by the start of the pre-season I was ready to do everything. They've just given me a lot of confidence really. Kenny's, I've sat down with him a few times about my style of game and that, and he's sort of talked to me about what he hopes for me, and just really good at instilling that confidence.
How close are they in terms of your expectations for this year, or how you want to play the game, and what Kenny wants from you?
Very similar. I'm pretty, I'd put a lot of expectation on myself usually, but I've sort of pulled that back a little bit. Just wanted to sort of go week by week, session by session, and Kenny's been supportive of that. And now that we're sort of getting to the start of the season, you will play a few NAB Cup games to see where everyone's at, and just make sure you're in close contact with the coaches throughout the next 4 to 5 weeks. Make sure you're doing everything right, and come round one, hopefully we'll see where we're at.
Mate, is the team fitter as a whole compared to this time last year?
Yeah, and probably due to the fact that we've been able to have probably more guys on the track, which is a luxury we haven't really had in the last few years. We've had guys just session after session backing it up and being able to stay out there, which has been a real positive. Obviously lacking a few long-term injuries, which like Robbie and Butch, which would be handy if we could get them out as soon as possible. But I'd say we're a lot fitter just because we've just had the numbers throughout the whole pre-season.
But what's Burgess done differently to Cam Falloon?
That's a tough one to answer really. Probably just I don't know, his ability maybe to keep guys on the track when maybe in the past, but it hasn't been, you know, a substantial difference. He's just brought a few different little things that have, I guess, looking back now, you know, guys have been able to actually stay on the track, and I guess that's made the difference.